The 108th Infantry Regiment is a regiment of the New York Army National Guard. It was first formed in 1898 and has been in continuous existence since 1907. As National Guardsmen, soldiers of the 108th Infantry can be called upon to serve the state and federal governments. The 108th has served in the Spanish-American War, the Mexican Border War, World War I, World War II, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Spanish-American War. The 108th Infantry Regiment was originally called the 3rd New York Volunteer Infantry. When the Spanish-American War broke out in April 1898, a new regiment was organized from 12 separate National Guard companies from the 4th Brigade. The 3rd New York, headquartered in Rochester, mustered into service on the 17th of May 1898. They were involved in drilling, provost, and camp duty in Virginia and Pennsylvania. The brief war with Spain ended before the regiment could be sent into action, and the Guardsmen were mustered out of federal service by companies between the 30th of November and the 10th of December 1898. 33 members of the 3rd New York died of disease during its short service, with several more dying afterward of typhoid fever contracted while on active duty. The state historian called the 3rd New York Regiment unquestionably one of the best that New York sent into the service, noting that not a single member had to be disciplined in its first 3 months of duty. Composition of 3rd NY Volunteer Infantry. As of the 2nd of May 1898, Headquarters, Rochester 1st Battalion Co. L. Elmira, Co. I. Olean, Co. K. Hornellsville, Co. D. Oswego, 2nd Battalion Co. M. Auburn, Co. A. Rochester, Co. B. Geneva, Co. C. Syracuse, 3rd Battalion Co. H. Rochester, Co. A. Tonawanda, Co. F. Medina, Co. E. Niagara Falls, 1898 to 1925. After the war, the 3rd New York was dissolved and the companies returned to the peacetime National Guard duties of drilling and supporting the state and local authorities. The regiment was reformed on the 30th of March 1907. In April 1913, the 3rd served in Buffalo during rioting caused by a streetcar workers' strike. It was also deployed for guard duty at Far, Texas on the Mexican border in 1916 during the U.S. Army's expedition against the guerrilla commander Pancho Villa. In November 1917, the regiment was organized into the 54th Infantry Brigade as part of the 27th Division. By the 31st of May 1918, the whole regiment had arrived in France. The 27th Division was attached to British forces for training and issued British rifles and machine guns. The division ended up fighting alongside the British and Australians for its entire combat service. The regimental scout officer of the 108th noted that we were supposed to leave behind the customs and traditions of the U.S. Army, in which we had been so carefully brought up, in order that we might study and adapt ourselves to those of our allies, the British, with whom our lot had been cast for the duration of the war. Quote, this included living on the British Army's relatively scanty rations. The 27th Division initially served in the trenches around Ypres alongside the British from July to September 1918. In September, the New Yorkers joined the British Fourth Army in the infamous Somme region, facing the Germans' formidable Hindenburg Line. Ordered to advance on the 27th of September, the 27th Division was unable to hold its gains. Several members of the 108th Infantry Regiment were awarded the Distinguished Service Cross for their actions in the area of Ronsoy on 28-29 September. Private Daniel Moskowitz, Co. F. Private Morris Silverberg, Co. G. Private Edward P. Pierce, Co. D. Corporal James Ball Clark, Co. F. and Sergeant Martin M. Smith, Co. G. The 54th Brigade attacked as part of the 100 Days Offensive on the 29th of September. German artillery, poison gas, and machine guns took a heavy toll as the Americans struggled through barbed wire and shell holes to reach the Hindenburg Line. The 108th penetrated the German defences at Quenemont Farm, although they were stalled by severe casualties and an enemy counterattack, and Australian units were sent in to complete the assault. Many leaderless Americans joined in the Australian attack without orders. This engagement is officially called the Battle of St. Quentin Canal. Private First Class Frank Gaffney of Company G later received a Medal of Honor for his heroism. The 108th joined in the pursuit of the retreating Germans, engaging them at Jonc de Marage, the Selle River, and Catillon. The 500 survivors still on duty were pulled out of the line to rest on the 21st of October, 3 weeks before the armistice ended the fighting. The 108th Infantry suffered 1,763 casualties, including 331 dead, in 3 months of combat out of 3,056 men in the ranks. Most of these casualties occurred in the Hindenburg Line attack. Reasons for the heavy losses included a lack of experienced leadership and the eagerness of the Da boys, who often made frontal assaults on enemy machine gun nests. Additionally, Allied artillery did not soften up the Germans with a preparatory bombardment before the attack, for fear of hitting Americans lying wounded from an earlier assault. Nevertheless, as 27th Division Commander Major General John F. Orion remarked that the 108th Infantry should have broken through the maze of wire that existed, and in the face of machine guns firing from every trench and nest, lodged one battalion in the main position, now seems an extraordinary feat. In March 1919 the 27th Division returned to New York and was mustered out of federal service. The 108th once again became the 3rd New York Infantry, although it was designated the 108th Infantry for a second time in October 1921. In 1925 the 108th adopted a distinctive unit insignia featuring A fasces held by 2 lions. World War II 1st Battalion Co. A. Watertown, Co. B. Geneva, Co. C. Syracuse, Co. D. Oswego, 2nd Battalion Cos. E. G. and H. Rochester, Co. F. Medina, 3rd Battalion Co. I. Auburn, Co. K. Hornell, Co. L. Elmira, Co. M. Ogdensburg. The 27th Division became part of the garrison of Hawaii in April 1942. It was here that the 108th parted ways with the New York Division. An army-wide reorganization cut divisions from 4 regiments to 3, and the 108th Infantry was transferred to the 40th Infantry Division on 1 September 1942. The 40th Division remained on Hawaii for 14 more months. In January 1944 the division landed on the South Pacific island of Guadalcanal, which had been largely secured by U.S. forces a year earlier. That April they moved to Cape Gloucester on New Britain, with the 108th being stationed at Arawa in the south. This was a more active area where the regiments of the 40th conducted combat patrols, since there were still many Japanese troops on the island, as they did on Guadalcanal. However, the men of the 108th found that the most dangerous enemy on Cape Gloucester was not the Japanese army but the harsh harsh jungle climate. On the 28th of November, the 40th Infantry Division was concentrated at Borgan Bay to prepare for the invasion of Luzon, the largest and most strategically important of the Philippine Islands. The 108th Regiment, which was formed with several smaller support units into the 108th Regimental Combat Team, was in reserve on S-Day, the 9th of January 1945. When the 6th Army landed at Lingayen Gulf, Japanese resistance intensified as the GIs moved south toward Manila, and the 108th fought brutal battles for possession of Fort Stotzenberg, Clark Field, Top of the World, Hill 7, and Sacabea Ridge. The 43rd Infantry Division relieved the 40th on the 2nd of March. 6 days later, the 108th was detached and sent to the island of Leyte to assist in mopping up defeated Japanese forces. The regiment's 2nd Battalion also cleared Masbate and other local islands. On Leyte and Masbate, the 108th lost an estimated 19 troops killed and 49 wounded. On the 10th of May, code-named Q-Day, the 108th joined in the battle for Mindanao. The regiment made an unopposed landing at Makahala Bay near Bugo and moved south to clear this air highway with the assistance of Filipino guerrillas. From 15 to 18 May, the 108th fought strongly and placed Japanese defenders at the Majima River Canyon. The regiment linked up with the 31st Infantry Division coming up from the south on the 23rd of May. Securing this air highway cost the 108th about 15 men killed and 100 wounded. The troops then moved east to combat more Japanese resistance. After 6 weeks of enduring thick jungle, heavy rains, knee-deep mud, and tall, razor-sharp grass, not to mention Japanese resistance, the 108th rejoined the 40th Division on Panay. With the war against Japan nearly over, the 108th Infantry was sent to garrison Korea on the 29th of June. The homeward journey began on the 15th of March 1946, when they left Korea bound for San Francisco. The regiment arrived on the 5th of April and was deactivated 2 days later at Camp Stoneman. The National Guardsmen of the 108th Infantry had been some of the first U.S. troops to deploy after Pearl Harbor, and the 108th was one of the last Guard units to return to the continental United States. Its long, grueling service in the Pacific Theater earned the 108th Infantry 4 campaign streamers and the Philippine Presidential Unit citation. During the war, the 108th reportedly lost 191 men killed in action. 59 were awarded the Silver Star. Recent history. Only the 2nd Battalion of the 108th Infantry is still in existence. In recent years it has served in Iraq and Afghanistan. On the 1st of May 2004, while providing security for a pipeline repair crew west of Balad, Iraq, soldiers of the battalion helped to rescue American truck driver Thomas Hamill, who had been held captive by insurgents since the 9th of April. The battalion played an instrumental role in the Battle of Samara in October 2004. The battalion deployed to Afghanistan with its brigade for a second tour of duty in 2012. 2nd Battalion, 108th Infantry, headquartered in Utica, is part of the 27th Infantry Brigade Combat Team and has companies and detachments stationed in 10 upstate New York towns. Distinctive unit insignia. Description: a gold-color metal and enamel device 1 1/8 inches in height overall, consisting of a shield blazoned azure, a fasces in pale, the rods argent-banded of the first, the axor, supported by 2 lions, the dexter rampant guard and the sinister rampant, both of the last. Attached below and to the sides of the shield a blue scroll inscribed VIRTUTE non-VERBIS in gold letters. Symbolism. The shield is infantry blue, in the center the fasces representing France and on either side and supporting it the lions of Great Britain and Belgium in gold. The motto translates to "by valor, not by words." Background. The distinctive unit insignia was originally approved for the 108th Infantry Regiment on the 29th of April 1925. It was amended to delete the motto on 1 October 1925. It was redesignated for the 108th Armored Infantry Battalion and amended to add the motto on the 22nd of March 1957. The insignia was redesignated for the 108th Infantry Regiment on the 19th of March 1962. Coat of arms. Blazoned shield, azure, fasces in pale, the rods argent banded of the first, the axor, supported by two lions, the dexter rampant guard and the sinister rampant, both of the last, armed and langed gules. Crest, that for the regiments and separate battalions of the New York Army National Guard. On a wreath argent and azure, the full-rigged ship, half moon, all proper. Motto, virtue non verbis. Symbolism. Shield. The shield is infantry blue, in the center the fasces representing France and on either side and supporting it the lions of Great Britain and Belgium in gold. Crest. The crest is that of the New York Army National Guard. Background. The coat of arms was originally approved for the 108th Infantry Regiment on the 30th of June 1924. It was amended to correct and clarify the blazon of the shield on the 1st of October 1925. It was redesignated for the 108th Armored Infantry Battalion on the 22nd of March 1957. The insignia was redesignated for the 108th Infantry Regiment and amended to correct the blazon of the crest to restore the colors of the wreath on the 19th of March 1962. In popular culture, the 2nd Battalion of the 108th Infantry is the former posting of the male protagonist of the Fallout 4 video game. Bibliography. 40th Infantry Division. Reprint. Nashville, The Battery Press, 1995. 108th Infantry Regiment, World War I. 108th Infantry Regiment, World War II. Annual Report of the Adjutant General of the State of New York for the year of 1899. Albany, James B. Leon, 1900. New York in the Spanish-American War 1898, part of the Report of the Adjutant General of the State for 1900. 3 vols. Albany, James B. Leon, 1900. Astor, Gerald. Crisis in the Pacific, The Battles for the Philippine Islands by the Men Who Fought Them. Reprint. New York, Dell Publishing, 2002. Berry, Henry. Make the Kaiser Dance. Garden City, New York, Doubleday, 1978. Burdick, Henry Hagerman ed. New York Division National Guard, War Record by the Officers and Men of the Division. New York, Burdick and King, 1917. Cannon M. Hamlin. Late The Return to the Philippines. Washington, Office of the Chief of Military History, Department of the Army, 1954. Delk, James D. The Fighting 40th in War and Peace. Palm Springs, CA, etc. Publications, 1998. Eichelberger, Robert L. Dear Miss M. General Eichelberger's War in the Pacific, 1942–1945. Edited by J. Lavas, Westport, P. Connecticut, Greenwood Press, 1972. Eichelberger, Robert L. Our Jungle Road to Tokyo. New York, Viking Press, 1950. Fitzgerald, John. Family and Crisis. The United States, the Philippines, and the Second World War. Bloomington. First Books, 2002. Howard, William F. New York Citizen Soldiers. New York Archives 3, No. 3, 8-12. Canat, Charles S. The National Guard in War, an historical analysis of the 27th Infantry Division in World War II, Masters Dis. U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, 1990. Reproduced here. Love, Edmund G. The 27th Infantry Division in World War II. Nashville, Battery Press, 1982. MacArthur, Douglas. Reports of General MacArthur. 2 vols in 4. Washington, U.S. Government Printing Office, 1966. McVeigh, Lucian Cameron, and Lee D. Brown. The Yankee in the British Zone. New York, G. P. Putnam's Sons, 1920. Mitchinson, K. W. Battleground Europe. Epi. London, Leo Cooper, 1998. New York and the War with Spain. History of the Empire State Regiments. Albany, Argus Company, 1903. New York units at the Mexican border, 1916 1917. Accessed 20 June 2011. Oakleaf, J. F. Notes on the operations of the 108th Infantry overseas. Olean, N.Y. Olean Times Publishing Company, 1921. Reproduced here. Orion, John F. The Story of the 27th Division. 2 vols. Albany, Wynkoop, Hallenbeck Crawford, 1921. A Short History and Illustrated Roster of the 108th Infantry United States Army. Philadelphia, Edward Stern & Co., 1918. Smith, Robert Ross. United States Army in World War II, The War in the Pacific, Triumph in the Philippines. Washington, Government Printing Office, 1963. Stanton, Shelby. Stanton, Shelby L. World War II Order of Battle, an encyclopedic reference to U.S. Army ground forces from battalion through division, 1939 to 1945. Rev. Edition. Mechanicsburg, PA. Stackpole Books, 2006. Sweeney, Daniel J. History of Buffalo and Erie County 1914 to 1919. 2nd edition. Buffalo, Committee of 100 under authority of the City of Buffalo, 1920. Sweatland, Morris J. and Lily Sweatland. These Men, for Conspicuous Bravery Above and Beyond the Call of Duty. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Telegraph Press, 1940. The WW1 Diary of A.W. Miller. Wright, Dr. Donald P. and Colonel Timothy R. Reese. On Point 2, Transition to the New Campaign, the United States Army in Operation Iraqi Freedom, May 2003 January 2005. F.D. Leavenworth Case. Combined Studies Institute Press, 2008. Yockelson, Mitchell A. Borrowed Soldiers, Americans Under British Command, 1918. Norman, University of Oklahoma Press, 2008.